All right. Hey, Daniel, how are you?
Hey, Murray. Glad to be here.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's great to have you all. It's an especially a great day today. I think we're crossing above the 50 degrees here in Seattle. So it's nice and sunny. Great to be on the stream with you today. And I can add your screen now. Let me try this here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is our newest episode in our ongoing series as part of the useful patterns that we want to share with you on how to build custom applications in Amazon Honeycode without writing any code. And the series that we are into now is how to review, augment, and approve existing data as it's depicted here on the side. So last week, Daniel, you and Bruno hosted our first episode where you discussed white tables and narrow apps. And I'm very excited about today's topic where we're going to talk about editing records in bulk and inline editing and taking a look at how, as a user, you can update many records at the same time, which, as we know, is one of the benefits of editing in a spreadsheet. But sometimes it's not as easy to do in a web app, and today's demo will show us how easy it can be to set it up with Honeycode. So I know today we're going to cover how to update the metadata for dozens of related records with a single click, as well as how to modify unique records using the inline editing technique. So really looking forward to that. And then to give you all an idea of what's coming up next, our next episode will talk about the context while editing records. Then we'll have an episode on importing and exporting data and automations. And then our final episodes in the series will be about managing approvals with multiple teams. And then after that, we'll kick off another series focused on other useful patterns. So with that said, Daniel, go ahead and I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Murray. That was a good summary. Just a quick reminder where we are and the context around this particular series, right? We're basically saying congratulations to you, the user. We're pretending that you just got the job as a manager for the data for a music store, right? So because you got the manager for the data for the music store, you have your own budget, you have your own team. Now you can start to implement your own ideas. Life is great. What could go wrong? Well, here's what you find out very soon is that the data is a bit messy. The data is not always as clean as you would like, and you would like to clean it up, but your IT department is busy for the next 16 months, so take a number, wait in line. In the meantime, you realize that you have all kinds of emails and spreadsheets and those kind of processes that you have to manage, and you're not very happy about this. But this is not a problem just for you. We picked out the music store idea just to make something fun and something abstract, but this happens every single day with people in program management, HR, every other related field.
It's definitely a problem I've had several times.
Yeah,
we were constantly even,
Yeah, we were talking earlier with a guy that was doing some recruiting application, and he had to manage a lot of data and lots of tables. And so hopefully the patterns in here will help you, the person with the problem, with some very simple, easy to use patterns in Honeycode to help manage this situation.
This is great.
So like Murray said last week, we talked about white tables, and I'm going to show you what that means. How do you manage white tables? I'll refresh you on that. And then we'll talk about editing records in bulk. So with that being said, last week we looked at a very wide table and the problem that we have looking in a narrow view of it. And we talked about this ability to hide and show different lists. And today we're going to show how do you take what you enter data once, like for example the 2021 data in the release year, or for example, a log line or some sort of a text or short description, and you populate it to a whole bunch of different records. So let's jump to the demonstration really quick. So remember, you should remember this application. This is for the production team. We have 3 records in this case here. And we're going to look at this record and notice coat of many colors. It's an album and it has 20 different records inside of it. And here are all the records. And last week we showed you how you can jump between the different columns or groups of columns so that you can view a very wide, what would otherwise be a very wide table in a reasonable way in a web app. We're using these tabs. So you can watch the video from last week. Today, what we're going to show you is how to do bulk editing. And what that looks like, we want to edit this particular row, for example. And it would be normally a pain to go through and update each one of these as PG. So we have a technique here where we're going to say these all songs are for kids. Actually, they're for everyone. And we are going to automatically populate it down. Notice with one click, all the related records got the exact same rating. However, we decide that particular, you're the only one. Album 12 is not actually for everyone. It's only for mature audiences. So we've now shown both of these patterns, the bulk editing and inline editing, happening at the exact same time. What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, this is great. This is what I know we're all accustomed to doing in a spreadsheet where you just get to drag down the top cell across multiple rows, or it's Command Shift down. If I'm remembering my keyboard shortcuts correctly, but it's super helpful to just be able to do it in a web app because it's not always available.
Right, and let's say one further little tweak on that. I had somebody. Let's say we put producer is Amari, and we need to correct this particular episode, so that gets populated all the way down. There's an error here. That's something to be solved for a different time. And then for the artist, we're going to put Amari also. And
it's very generous of you.
Populate it down. But let's say I want to also add Daniel as a producer for the sake of argument. We can also append to the end of a record, and we can say edit, and we are done. Right. So the ability to populate down and the ability to edit inline, very, very easily done. Now the way that works, would you like to see how underneath?
Yeah. Well, show us. How do we put this together?
Sure. Whoops. So, okay, we are looking here at the tables, but we actually want to look at the app. So the way to put this together, remember from last time that we have a special, or a separate, I should say, set of blocks for artists and producers. Let's say we were using artists and producers last time. So in these 2 blocks, these only show up if we're looking at that particular tab. So we're going to focus on these 2. So the first one, the easy part, is the edit on and edit off. Right? How do we make these fields editable? When I press the edit button on and off, how does that happen? How do I make these editable versus not editable? And it's pretty straightforward. The way to do that is to take the same data cell twice. So here I have the name imported, showing once, and the name imported showing twice. And in the second case, it's editable. In the first case, it's not editable. And then the content box around it, I change the visibility of it, right? So the content box in this case, when it's not editable, the display is edit on. And then the editable box, I say, show when edit is on. So again, just like we did last time, we have a variable up at the top that's called is edit on. That's typically false. And then we just turn it on and off based on what the edit button is doing. And so the edit button itself has a very simple action on it. It doesn't do very much. All it does is says is edit on equal to not is edit on, essentially negating whatever edit is at the moment. So essentially toggles.
Mhm.
So this is a very simple pattern to create a toggling button. And this applies to, like we showed, the artists and the producers down below, but it also applies to the ratings, for example. Where's the ratings go? Here. So here's where we use the ratings, right? We have rating, rating new, and we had rating new twice, the exact same field twice, but in the bottom one is editable and top one is not editable. And then here we just say display is edit on or not is edit on, and display is edit on. That is very simple how to do the inline editing. Very easy to use, very easy to create a pattern. Now, how did we do the auto populate down, right? So let's take this example here where we populated the ratings, right? So the rating, now you cannot have variable fields, right? You cannot have variable fields inside of a list. So this list is tied automatically, is tied completely to this filter. So it only shows what comes from this filter, and all the variables, all the data cells, if you will, have to be shared. You cannot even click, you cannot even create a variable data cell inside of a list. And so in this block above, we created a data cell that lists the ratings, the different ratings, and it's basically a pick list from the ratings table. So nothing magic there. And then once you select it, notice it's called SEC bulk field. It's editable. And then once you make a selection, then this little button here, which is actually a big a content box with a special character inside of it.
Symbol, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a what do you call Unicode? I forget exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you set up an action on that, and the action is the one that does the magic. The action. Here's what the action does. The action overrides. It only has one simple override. It uses the exact same formula that the list uses below. So whatever formula you put on this list, you put the exact same filter here. So it gets the same records. And then you say, take the data from the local variable that we just made up above, right? We made this variable here, the PG variable, and write it where? To ratings new. Done. That was easy. 3 lines. And you now have bulk editing done. We did the exact same thing for the language, that we haven't shown it, but it's the same idea. So you get the exact same. So this filter here should be the exact same filter as the one for the list, because that's how you know you're editing the list correctly. Yep, exactly the same one. All right. And then to make the plus, where you have the append, it's the same pattern, but slightly, just ever so slightly modified. So this filter is a little different because we're having to look to a different table. That's why this filter looks different than the tables above. But we're still writing to this row producer new, but we're doing a bit of a concatenation. We're taking whatever is there today and adding a comma, and then whatever you just got put in the standalone producer field here, in the bulk field. So we're doing a concatenate to add together. So does that make sense?
Very easy, very straightforward. Absolutely.
Yeah, this a friend of mine, I was working with a friend of mine, and he said, well, why couldn't we have a plus there that we could just append? I said, oh, you're right. Why not? So boom, there it is. So that's how you get the ability to edit, and whatever you type in here, you can append to the end.
Oh, this is great.
Toggle off.
And this is so useful. Anything else that you wanted to highlight with this demo, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it in this demo. We'll go back, and next week we'll cover the next topic. But that's it for today.
Great. Well, this is awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, as you mentioned, our topic for next week, it's going to be how to highlight a context when you're editing a record. So, you know, that's for the use case when you have a need to see what is happening with similar record, what was approved in the past. And so this is what our next episode will focus on, how to view those related records and past approved data while edits are being made. So really looking forward to it. Daniel, thank you very much again. We'll see you next time.
Loved it. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.